Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. This week, we're going to be recapping the race at Richmond and looking forward to what I think will be a great race at Michigan International Speedway. Before we dive into the action of this past weekend, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to all our listeners and everybody listening to this. I really appreciate your support and continue to like, listen, review, and subscribe on Apple and Spotify, and like my Facebook page on Facebook, JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast, where I share all of the latest news and happenings in NASCAR and the Xfinity Series and even sometimes the Truck Series. And I would really appreciate if you would go like that. And now let's get into the Richmond recap. I'll start off by saying if cautions in your mind make a good race, this one was probably not for you. I, for one, love races that go green for a while and races that have cautions. I think both can be good. This was a typical Richmond race, in my opinion. The spring one was better. I mean, I was there, so I'm kind of biased towards it, but just as watching a product, on-track product, I think the spring was better. But, does Richmond deserve 2 dates? I don't really think so. I think you go in the spring and find somewhere else to go for the second date, in my opinion. I'm not trashing Richmond by any means, but I think, you can look elsewhere for that second date. But, the main thing that we see early, 25 laps in, and there's already 2 seconds of tire fall off, which means they're running about 2 seconds slower than they were at the beginning of the race. And that's quite wild, actually, especially with this next-gen car. You normally don't see that much fall off, especially that quick, with the temperatures up really high. And the in-car, I know they were showing Denny's in-car, his car was running about 135 degrees inside. So, these guys were going through a lot. The track was really hot and slick, and I think that contributed to a lot of the tire fall off. No big-time problems on the first set of pit stops. We had green flag pit stops, of course, and nobody really had any issues. And right after the pit stops, Tyler Reddick wins stage one. And, he looked fast early, but, he said even after qualifying that he didn't think that he had the long run speed, just the short run. And he at least got him a stage win. Last week I predicted an Alex Bowman win and the team to beat to be Hendrick Motorsports. And that was probably my worst prediction to date. We've done this podcast for 11 weeks now or so. And, my predictions are usually somewhat correct. However, last week, my goodness, very, very bad. Also, very shocking performance by Hendrick Motorsports. Larson, who won the spring race, couldn't stay on the lead lap all day long, and Chase Elliott started good, but in a car that came in second in the spring, never was competitive, to be honest with you. And that was shocking. Once I saw him qualify in the top 5, I really thought, hey, I think my prediction is going to come true. I think Hendrick is going to be dominant tomorrow, and that just wasn't the case at all. Hendrick struggled as an organization, all 4 cars. William Byron, who's been the fastest guy all year, in my opinion, struggled. He didn't finish on the lead lap either, I don't think, and he really led a lot of the spring race. So just a total shock with Hendrick. They've kind of fell off the last couple weeks, to be honest with you. I know Larson was up front at Pocono, but other than that, 2 wins, both on short tracks for him this year. Definitely, once he won at Richmond and Martinsville, I thought he was destined for a 4 or 5 win season. And if you've been listening to me since the beginning, I thought Alex Bowman was going to win 1 or 2 races. And if he's going to do that, he better do it quickly. I'm kind of off the Bowman train now. Maybe that's what he needs to get going. But If he couldn't win at Pocono or Richmond, had a better chance at Pocono, but just a dreadful day at Richmond for Bowman. After Larson goes a lap down, we see Eric Almirola and Christopher Bell have pit road issues during green flag stops. C. Bell didn't really have pace all day long, so this really wasn't a big deal for him. He struggled to run top 15, top 20 all day, but Eric Almirola, who ran well at New Hampshire, pit crew screwed him up and didn't tighten the wheel, so loses a chance at the win there. And then here also had pace. Had pretty good pace here at Richmond. And I think he was running top 10 at the time of his issues, so it really hurt him. Frustrating year for Stuart Haas. We've been over their struggles. It continued. Harvick ran well, but he's been running well, but the other three just not really all there. And from the lead, Bubba Wallace has pit road issues as well. Jack falls down. The car falls down with the jack before they get the right front on, and extends his pit stop probably 5 seconds at least, and costs him the lead. He was running well. And after those green flag pit stops right before the end of stage 2, Bowman and Larson put on the most exciting battle of the whole race, in my opinion, trying to stay on the lead lap. Larson would go high, try to ride the high line, and it would go low. Bowman ended up winning that battle and stayed on the lead lap. And that was really that was crazy to see teammates going at it like that, but both of them kept it clean and raced pretty hard. And as that battle ended, Brad Keselowski won stage 2. And I just want to take a second to really brag on RFK. Brad Keselowski led a lot of the race, and of course Chris Buescher, we'll talk about him, but that team has ran well all year, solid runs. Brad says they haven't had race winning speed. Well, this weekend they did, and if they keep doing that, there's no reason why they can't go and contend for a round of 12 spot, round of 8. In my opinion, I don't see either one of them making the final 4, but round of 12 or round of 8, I think's acceptable for those guys. Consistent runs, and now they found race-winning speed, at least at short tracks. So, Brad K, will get into how he didn't win, but he ran well in stage 2. I wrote in my notes, although no cautions, still good racing around the track, in my opinion. Some side-by-side, not too much, but, I still love the tire fall-off races, and I think this was an all right race. So here we get into Brad Keselowski's struggles here. He pits from the lead, and it seemed like anybody who pit from the lead in this race really struggled. Bubba first, and then Brad K, comes into his pit stall, and he slides in sideways, basically. His car's diagonal while they're changing tires, and that kind of threw off the pit crew, and they lost several seconds there. And lost him the lead, lost him a chance to win this race. Buescher looked faster than him while they were both battling, but Brad was still in the lead when he came down pit road. So frustrating for sure for Brad K, who hasn't been into victory lane in a while as a driver. And we see during the green flag pit stops, Kyle Larson gives Denny the bumper. Denny was running second at the time, I think. Or he was going to cycle back to second, and Larson several laps down, 1 or 2 laps down, and gives him the bumper. I say calm down. Trying to prove a point, trying to knock him out of the way for a little, I guess that's a little payback from last week. But, calm down, dude. You're down 2 laps. And I like Larson, like I've said before, but I don't think there's any call for that, to be honest with you. But I'm sure that ain't the end of it either. I'm sure he plans on getting Denny back more than that for sure, but I thought that was a little wild that he did that. And then Tyler Reddick, who we talked about, was good all day. until this right here, coming in for green flag stops, has a commitment line violation. Did not have all 4 tires down under the orange square that you have to have all 4 tires down under, and screwed his race. Took him out of contention. He was running well when that happened, and pretty much ended 2311's bid for another win. With 10 to go, we have a caution, and I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. Daniel Suarez and Noah Gragson make contact with 10 laps to go, so we have a restart. The only caution of the day, and, it made things interesting at the end. They restarted with about 3 or 4 to go, and it was basically down to Chris Buescher and Denny Hamlin. And, good battle, clean battle. Denny kept trying to get to the outside of him and just couldn't do it. He made a mistake and slid, locked up the tires at one point, and after that, Buescher was gone. I think Buescher had the best car all day long. Reddick might have been the only guy that could have contended with him, but pace-wise, I'd say the top 3 were Buescher, Reddick, and Denny all day long. And, Chris Buescher gets his 3rd win of his career. His last 2 have come at short tracks. Bristol last year in the playoffs, and now this year at Richmond. And, RFK's getting it done. They're back, and really, really cool to see Buescher run well and win at this level. He won an Xfinity Series championship way back when, probably 2015, I think it was. And it's good to see him in a good ride and being competitive and locked in the playoffs now. So good for those guys and good for RFK. And, the bubble situation, Ty Gibbs, which I picked Gibbs and Bowman to be in the playoffs, as you all know. I've stuck on that. Kind of off the Bowman train now. They haven't proved to me they can run well. But Ty Gibbs, man, he's consistent, and he's had a heck of a rookie season. I still think he gets in, and Bubba Wallace did an awesome job getting stage points and running well pretty much all day long. He's now plus 54 on the cut line, which is crazy. I think he was plus 20-something going in, so he made up a ton of ground and put himself in a good position. He's not very good at road courses, but he's got better. So we'll see how these next couple go. I think he'll be a factor at Michigan, to be honest with you. 2311 was very strong there last year. I think Bubba got the pole last year. And so we'll see. I'll be in attendance in Michigan, so we'll see how that goes. I'd love to see Denny get a win. He's getting hot right now, really hot, to be honest. 1st and 2nd back-to-back. So hopefully he can stay white hot in Michigan. I think, really not much else to talk about Richmond-wise. However, I think Michigan's going to be great. I think it's going to be similar to Kansas. These 2 tracks are very similar to each other. Good racing all over the place. And I don't think this will be any different, to be honest with you. It's been a long time since a Ford has not won at Michigan. I was reading, I forget exactly what year it was, but Ford has pretty much dominated this race. And could that be the case again? It's a good question. I mentioned last week, name to watch, Kevin Harvick. I think that's still true here. He ran, I think, top 10 at Richmond, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he can get it done here again in Michigan. I will give you all my official picks and team to beat, but I'm going to give you some name to watch first. I look at Kevin Harvick. I look at Ty Gibbs. I look at Bubba Wallace. And I look at Denny. Those are my top 4 guys that I'm really considering picking. And I think that, I guess you could throw Larson up there too, because, this track favors Kansas so much. Denny and Larson were your 2 fastest at Kansas, if I remember correctly. So I look forward to it this weekend, and I look forward to drama. I think there's going to be some drama. You got a mile and a half. You got playoffs coming up. I just think this is a very exciting time to be a NASCAR fan. And I don't think that that's going to stop anytime soon. I think we're in a very good spot in the sport. Before we get into Michigan predictions and, of course, our question of the week, I wanted to go over some silly season news, which silly season in NASCAR is basically free agency in any other sport, and where drivers are going. And all this information is first reported by Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic. I'm just going to read some things from his article. First off, I want to start off with Carson Hocevar, who's currently in the Truck Series. There's several talk right now about him going into the 77 of Ty Dillon of Spire Motorsports. Again, none of this is confirmed yet. These are just rumors going around, and I think, Carson, I think he's ready for the Cup Series. To be honest with you, going from trucks to Cup, they say that the trucks drive similar to the next gen cars. Xfinity's kind of different, and Carson's done pretty well in his Xfinity starts this year. Runs good. Seems to always have issues, but his one Cup start he had at Gateway, he drove for Corey LaJoie, was performing really well until his brake rotor exploded. And so you put him in that 77 Spire car, I think that ups Spire, honestly. They seem like they're doing very well and on the uptick with Corey performing well this season. So I think Hocevar's a great fit there, and we'll see how that goes. Eric Almirola says he is getting there, still to be determined. I'm going to go ahead and guess that he retires. I don't think that's nowhere in this article. That's just my opinion. I think Almirola will be done, and I think the 34 of Michael McDowell will fill that seat. I think Michael McDowell will go to the 10 if Almirola retires. Once again, these are all just predictions, not things that have actually happened. It's a good talking point, in my opinion. I think that a name to watch is SVG. And I think, he drove the Project 91 Trackhouse car to a victory at the Chicago Street Course, and he's going to be back for the Indy Road Course. There's rumors of him coming over here full-time. Will he drive for Trackhouse? Will he go somewhere else? That's still to be determined. But, I think it's Justin Marks has made it very very obvious that he would want him. So, do they want a third entry? I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question. I could see SVG going there, to be honest. And the one that really shocked me, to be honest with you, is the rumor of Noah Gragson leaving Legacy MC. I suspected with the switch to Toyota next year that Legacy MC would run better. If this is correct, these reports, obviously Noah doesn't think that. He doesn't think, that they're going to run as well, I guess, is the move. And there's rumors of him going back down to the Xfinity Series where he can run well, maybe win a championship. If that's the move he wants to make, then I'm fully behind him. I'm a Noah Gragson fan, and, I think that whatever he does, whatever he wants to do is best for him, So I'll support him in whatever he does. And if he goes back to the Xfinity Series, that will up the Xfinity Series, in my opinion. I always enjoyed him dominate last year. Golly, he had a heck of a year. I don't know why he couldn't follow that up, whether he goes back to JRM or Joe Gibbs Racing in Xfinity is to be determined from what I've read. But that is a strong possibility as of now. So there's a couple silly season rumors and predictions, if you will. So thank you all once again for listening. And now we will get into our Michigan preview and predictions. For Michigan, I'm going to go with my team to beat. And I'm going to go with 2311 Racing. To be honest with you, Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace. I touched on the fact that they were really fast here last year, and I think that continues. Toyotas have been super strong lately. I don't think you can go against a Toyota. I know Ford has won the last several races here, and I could be wrong, but the Toyotas on mile and a halves have just been really, really good, and I don't see how you bet against them, to be honest with you. With me saying 23-11 Racing, you know, I think since I picked them as team to beat, I've got to pick Bubba Wallace to win in Michigan. And I think he'll be super fast. Like I said earlier, I think Ty Gibbs, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin are the guys that you look at that maybe can get up there as well. But I think Bubba Wallace ends up winning this race. Pit crew issues have plagued him. He's been super fast several places, and it seems like they'll have an issue. But I like Bubba Wallace to win in Michigan. So I expect a great race, mile and a half with this next gen, which I guess Michigan's technically 2 miles, but race is like a mile and a half. And I think that these guys will tear it up, to be honest. I think it'll be great racing. And a lot better than Richmond was. Richmond's not for everybody, as we touched on earlier in the episode, but I think that if you watch the race on Sunday, I think you're going to be happy with the product. And, I think it'll be an awesome one. So now we are on to the question of the week. This week's question is a pretty simple question, pretty straightforward. And it says, I know you have went over your championship 4 in the past. Is it the same as it was earlier in the season? That is a great question. I think it'll change 2 or 3 times before the playoffs start. And then, of course, when the playoffs start, I plan on going through and predicting round by round. But for right now, Hendrick honestly is worrying me. I never thought I would say that, but, they, as an organization, have not had the speed that you would think. I will probably say this, and they'll go out and dominate at Michigan this weekend, but they're worrying me. I think the championship 4 I had was Byron, Larson, Hamlin, and Kyle Busch. The last time I did this, I don't know. I don't think that that is my championship 4 right now, to be honest with you. I'll keep Byron up there just because he has been super fast all year. I'll keep Byron there. I'll keep Denny there just because he's heating up right now. Whether you love him or hate him, and a lot of people hate him, I know. But he's been consistent. He's now up to second in the points behind Martin Truex Jr. I think he's 39 points back. That's very doable. With 4 races left, it's doable in my opinion. And if he wins the regular season, or whoever wins the regular season, I think definitely is a big favorite. But so that's Byron, Hamlin. Now where do I go? Martin Truex. Should I put him there? I guess. Not a memorable run this weekend, but he's been hot as of late. I'll go Byron, Hamlin, Truex, and who is my 4th? I'm going to move Kyle Busch out because, over the long run, I know he ran 3rd at Richmond. Wasn't very much of a factor all day long, though. My 4th one, this is hard. Really hard. This is great radio, by the way. Me sitting here thinking I should have thought this out before I answered. I think your last spot is between Larson and, I want to say Seabell, but Seabell hasn't. I think I read he hasn't had a top 5 since his win at Bristol Dirt. And that's strange. I'll go Blaney. So Truex, Hamlin, Byron, and Blaney. Right now would be my 4. And like I said, that can probably change. Blaney has ran up front but had issues lately. Seems to run good, but something always happens, so that could cost him. But those are my picks right now. Even Christopher Bell, though, I'm looking at the standings now. Even since he hasn't had a top 5 since Bristol Dirt, still is 4th in the regular season standings. So, that's a name that could get back up there in my opinion. But right now I'll go Truex, Hamlin, Byron, and Blaney. And that will do it for this week's podcast. I look forward to Michigan. I look forward to being there. My first time ever going to be there. And hopefully I can bring back a good recap. And hopefully at least some of my predictions will be right. So once again, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for continuing to stream and helping this podcast out. Really blown away by the response that I get from it, and I'm glad you all are enjoying it, listening to it as much as I'm enjoying doing it. And I really just appreciate everyone sharing it, liking it, and continue to rate, review, and listen. And until next week, this has been JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast.